Venkat and team sent me the email with the competencies that they have come up with, their background and how they came up with the competencies. We said we will come up with 2 sample competencies, taking the, in the last session, we closed with writing what is our business and where it is going on as a group activity. And then you moved on saying if the organization has to move from A point to B point, we are actually building a competency framework for sustenance of today and also to build the organization to where we want to go. The other 2 teams, I'm not sure if you've submitted and I've missed your mails. Which I don't think so, but if you have submitted, I'm sorry, I probably didn't have it. If you didn't, it's okay. Maybe you can just go and do it back later. But what I would want is Venkat and team have actually done a good job. So I think it's important, Venkat, for you to share with the team on how you went about it on behalf of the team, how you went about it. And I have the slide on the competencies that you have submitted. And what we will do is, in fact, today, our agenda, oh, what's happening? Oh, sorry, guys. Again, it closed. Just let me open up. Let me just open up and. So our agenda today is actually to get onto reviewing the competency exercise that the team has come up with. So we can take a sample that Venkat's team has done, and we will use that for our institutionalizing process. What I mean is we will actually use the same competencies to build the assessment center. Is that fair?
Rajshri, actually, she will present the things.
Okay.
And we have actually jotted down a few things. I think Aarti, actually, you have also gone through that, the mail actually has sent it actually. Aarti?
Yeah.
Aarti, can you hear me?
Yeah, Venkat Garu. I had sent a mail to everybody, and I think Rajshri also responded. After that, there is no communication.
Yeah.
I thought that actually I did that, but due to some
no problem. What we can do is that's okay. That's okay. Don't worry, guys. So what we will do here, Venkat, is just walk them through the thinking that you've come up with. So today's focus is we have about 2.5 hours. So we will focus on the first 1 hour on finalization of the competencies. Okay. And then we will get into understanding what goes in assessing these competencies, right? And where all it is used, why we use competencies and things like that. Well, some of you are experienced in the area, either as being a recipient of being an assessment center participant or designing, or even, facilitating. However, this is what I'm sharing is basis my experience over years that I've done as a consultant with Mercer and also in a couple of companies that I've been working for, and I'm also consulting now. Why don't you, Venkat, even if it's verbally, you can say what was the goal of the organization you looked at, how did you go, what are the parameters that you looked at, or factors that you wanted to really drive. Maybe you can take about 5 minutes to really state the background on how you guys came up with whatever you came up with.
That's fine. Thanks, Bhagwati. Good morning to all. Am I audible or?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Great.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Fine. Okay, great. So, what we did was, first of all, let me just name my team members. So one is Mr. Naresh. Naresh is there. Yeah, Naresh. Then Soumya, Aisha, Reema, and Ursula. These were the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think there was so this was quite a big team. Anyways, so we had a very healthy discussion on this competency thing, and so what we were looking for is a growing organization. Okay, the case study which we had taken is a growing organization, and this organization is into the business of insurance. And the current turnover of this company is 1,000 crores. Our goal was to be 3,000 crores by 2025. Okay, so 2000 in year 2020, the turnover is 1,000 crores. By 2025, we are targeted to be a 3,000 crores company. For this, what we have done is, so while I did the role play of a CEO, the other team members had with the senior resources, and with the or rather, I would put it this way, that they were like consultants or the HR professionals who had been given the task of implementing competencies in the enterprise competency framework. So they had put up questions to me, and a lot of questions. And based on the questions that were put up, Bhagwati, I'm not telling which all question, because this is in reference to the slide which you had shown, where the goals, yes, vision, and all that thing was there.
Yes.
So basis that there were two important competencies which we came out with, and that one was with regard to customer centricity or customer focus, and the other one was with regard to innovation. Right. So these two competencies where we felt whether, while there were many other competencies, but these two competencies were the two critical ones which we thought would make an edge for the enterprise, or the key competencies which would enable us to move to our goal of being a 3,000 crores company by 2025. Now, I'll just share that Excel sheet. One sec.
I have it with me.
Oh, you may have to, yeah. Okay, fine, yeah.
Yeah, so Venkat, I just have a question here for the interest of the other participants. What were the key drivers for growth? Is the key driver, if I get it, in your company that you have taken for, because you're growing from 100,000
crores to 3,000 crores, correct?
Right. Yeah. So growth is the key driver of business, right? Be it organic or inorganic. And as we discussed in the last session, when it is growth, you take into account both organic and inorganic growth, and try to look at what are those behavioral indicators that will enable growth, right? So the other part is that was there any discussion around what are the core enablers for growth?
So, Bhagwati, over there, we thought that we could explore coming up with new business verticals. Okay. Explore what are the products that the competitors are having. Mm-hmm. Okay, in their tech, what or in their portfolio, what are the products that they are having, and something on those lines. Perhaps we also plan to come with similar products and all that, because basically in the insurance sector, most of the companies have nearly the similar product, but the pricing may be different because of process efficiencies or automation. These technology, these are the things which actually bring about an edge. Okay, and of course, innovation is very, very customer focus, customer centricity, and innovation are definitely the other two critical things for bringing where you really have an edge in the insurance sector. So that's why this is what we have taken up, these two things: customer centricity and innovation.
Venkat, I would like to add in.
Yeah, please.
This side. Hi.
Yeah.
So, Bhagwati, we also try to focus on a couple of points which would help us enable these two competencies. We also try to target the sections of the society, like the rural section of the society, which is untouched probably in the insurance sector. Based on that, we try to also do a brand positioning of our organization in terms of so that there could be a better brand recall among the target audience. So these were two other things also which we thought. And apart from that, we also thought that maybe if we try to focus on the rural industry, not like rural, but a semi-rural, semi-urban kind of an sector. So maybe, in our existing products, if we could tweak them a little bit in terms of the premium and in terms of the cost factor, so that would enable us get better response from this sector of the industry.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, Ursula, thanks so much for getting in that input. Bhagwati. I remember. What we were thinking is to make us more competitive in the market. our thought process was our focus would be on the customers in tier 3, tier 4 and rural areas, rather than focusing on the metro cities or the major cities, capitals and all that. Tier 3, tier 4 and rural areas would be the focus area, where the competition is much less as compared to the competition in the major cities and the metro cities, because most of the players are over there in these cities. Okay.
Did you also think around, because if you have to go to 3,000, only the organic growth will not just suffice. Both inorganic and organic have to be combined. So when you spoke about customer centricity, I'm sure you must have spoken from, one is how do you really expand the market share and have more customers, but then customer centricity is basically on your current customers, right? Predominantly. So that gives you mining more from current customers, and therefore what attitudes and skills that are required in our teams. So your thinking will go in that way. The other thing you need to blend it with, if we have to increase our market share, so a strategic thinking of the market landscape, that's what you're talking about. You as a CEO gave your inputs, but how should that thinking, what is that thinking expectation? Because there should be an alignment of that thinking, right? So the very strategic thinking of what you have given as a CEO, as executive leadership, when we talk about, right, some of them you did put there, needs to transcend in terms of alignment to that strategic thinking at least, because on ground, if you have a sales manager, should be looking, you have two sales managers, one is into new businesses, one into expansions, right? So while technical process, technical ability in when you approach a new business is slightly different than expansion, but aligning to that strategy is important, and therefore an element of strategic thinking should be there. So if you put that and start thinking what competencies I expect from executive leadership down to my frontline executives, there should be an alignment. Right. Only then you as a CEO can achieve it. Otherwise, you're just stating it.
Absolutely.
It didn't percolate down. So the expectation from a frontline manager, who's a junior manager when we talk about, is understanding of the business landscape. Right. And the other thing is also business landscape in terms of, you talked about, the expansion in market share. You want to go into rural areas, those strategic thinking, the thinking of what happens in the market space, a business understanding of our customer space. Because when you're an insurance company, you are actually either you could be an immediate customer or you could be a third party as well. You never know, right? Sometimes it might be a third party. Sometimes it might be a direct customer as well. Therefore, understanding the business landscape of whoever your ultimate customer also is very important. Right? So those kind of thinkings come in. I did see the notes that Naresh had sent, all the notes that he had sent, right? You guys have written notes and all that. So I'm coming from that perspective, so that to give, the other participants a flavor of how did you come about this. And great. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead. I interrupted.
Hey, that's fine. Absolutely. Thanks for that inputs, Bhagwati. So, this is broad. And then since we are working in our focus is in the rural audience or the customers, we also wanted to, as far as the pricing of our products was concerned, that also we wanted to make it a bit less or more competitive. Okay, and while the cost of living is an important factor for which the people may go in for higher insurance coverage, and if the insurance coverage is higher, the premium paid also has to be higher. In rural areas, perhaps the coverage amount may be of lesser quantum. If I want to give an example, in the major cities, you may require at least 25 lakhs to 50 lakhs, that range insurance cover, okay, for an average middle class person. But in the rural areas, perhaps 10 to 15 lakhs or a 20 lakhs cover thing can also 20 could be a good enough coverage amount.
Right.
So from that perspective, the premium to be pegged very competitively in the market was the other thought process.
Yeah. So let me just rephrase that from staying focused on a competency exercise. So if I'm a facilitator, I'm trying to build in the competencies expectations. So what are you trying as a CEO? Giving the math behind the metrics, okay, behind the growth numbers, the math behind the metrics that you're driving in terms of business numbers. Therefore, an understanding of the math behind the metrics is a competency that we expect from the teams. Because otherwise it remains as a thinking matrix with the CEO, and it needs to translate into the same way right up to the front line. All these 4 levels of management need to have an understanding of the math behind the metrics that you're driving. It might not be under these 2 competencies, but I'm just giving you these inputs so that whenever you're building, you can actually think about them.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
So it's incompetent. It could be under some other competency heading, but that's fine. But as an expectation, it should be there. So everything that we're talking about to move the company from level A to level B, in this case, it's from 1,000 crore to a 3,000 crore company. We need to distill and say, what is the business expectations or planning? Now, that same thinking, so what is that expected out of me if I am a middle management? What is expected out of me as a junior management person? What is expected out of me as an executive leadership as well? Because the board must be giving it, and then there is executive leadership, right? So when you're building your competency, when you're actually writing the competency expectations, you should start, it should distill from there. And that's why the architecture, when I spoke, I think now the architecture that we look at will be of more meaning to you now, right? So you actually say, what is the business going? Growth is the enabler. So what are the key drivers for that? And then say, if some total of this management team has to be embarking on that board, what are the core competencies that you expect out of them? To put it simple, what is the attitude that they need? What is the knowledge? What are the skill sets that they need? It's simple. Okay. It has to tie up with that. It could be at some points, it could be very rudimental, very operational. That's fine. That's fine. But has to be simply stated. If I'm sitting as a manager sales, if I'm sitting as a manager of marketing, if I'm sitting as a brand manager, you spoke about it, right? If I'm sitting out there as a community reach executive, right? Insurances have these community reach executives also. Now, what does it mean to me? How am I contributing to this larger vision? What is in my own little role of the organization? How can I in my own way contribute? So that expectation setting has to be there. That's when there is an alignment. Now, sometime later, maybe go architecture when you actually see, that's when you'll be able to relate to that larger frame we were talking about. Yeah. So thank you so much. And this has been a fabulous work in a very short time. And I must say that, I've run sessions in the companies and outside also. This quick turnaround around understanding and putting it back wasn't this quick in any place. I really appreciate. Yeah, and that shows that how consultative is the team.
You have an excellent presentation. But I have a query, actually, I have a question. As a CEO, actually, to a CEO, I'm asking. You have an insurance. You have an insurance sector, right? Okay. You have an insurance company, right?
Yeah.
And if someone is residing in a rural area, and you have given a very less premium, and he would move to metro, then will you give that same what we call that, the benefits, or you will withdraw the benefits, or you will charge extra?
No.
Number two.
Sorry, Venkat.
No, this is not a competency, but actually, as a CEO,
I mean, it's only in the interest of time. So maybe you can take it one-on-one, and it's an interesting debate that you can have.
I'll surely answer this, Venkat, but it will take 2 minutes. It doesn't make, because just to that first question, Bhagwati, just 1 minute. I'll just respond to Venkat's query. Venkat, this is basically because he has gone in for that product, whether he is in a rural area or in an urban area or a metro or whatever it is, for that particular product, he continues to pay the premium for the concerned tenure, for whatever tenure. If it's a 10-year tenure, it will be standard across. It doesn't matter whether he's in whichever part of the country he is.
No, actually, I'm talking about the profit percentage. if you say a lot of people now, from metro, they have gone to, due to this COVID, you can see, 20%, more than 20%, the, what we call that, service people, they have left metros and gone to the villages. So will you, if you are a CEO, will you pay back the extra amount which they have been given as they are currently in the rural areas or in their small cities?
I appreciate your questions. We'll do one thing. Now we are going into a different orbit and trajectory. So we'll connect after the session because because we'll surely connect. Not a problem at all. Okay.
Fine. All right. So,
Anupama has shared the numbers. I'll definitely connect and respond to your queries.
Fine.
Right.
Yeah.
So what we'll do now, Venkat, each one of us, I've actually looked at it. We need to be, the other participants also, need to be wearing the hat of a reviewer. And if the team who's building the competencies have come up with this as a draft presentation back, right? So what are the inputs that you would be, or what is that you'll be hearing, right? Or so what I did is I looked at as an external reviewer and saying, what is that is right in there? Is there something that has to be little shaped up, or is there something missing, right? So it's basically asking those questions, right? And it's because whenever you write a competency framework, it should be understood clearly by the person who's actually acting there on ground at their own level of implementation. So if we put too many things together, it will not be, and also the other thing is if we have too many factors together in one statement, right? So how will I break it up? How will I assess this? How will I, really link it to other areas, either performance or selection or succession plannings or any of them when we want to do. Therefore, it is recommended to keep them as simple and to the point as much as possible. Now, doesn't mean that there are standard answers to that. It has to be what can be understood and manageable in institutionalizing those competencies, right? It's only from that perspective I looked at it. And I also looked at it from the notings that you guys have given me. Therefore, the scope of this review is restricted to both these competencies and the notings basis which you have come up with these expectations, okay? Now, I would like to share, I did some working on the same Excel sheet. So let me share the sheet with you guys. Are you able to see the Excel sheet?
No, the PPT only.
No, ma'am, it's stuck on the finalization of competencies wearing the hat of a reviewer. That's it.
Okay. Okay.
So you have to stop and then, you have to.
Yeah. Now, I resume share. I don't know why it's not really going. Okay, let me just stop and share it again. Doesn't matter. Give me a second, please. Yeah, can you see the Excel sheet now?
Yeah.
Okay. So for the benefit of the rest of the participants, I'm just putting down here. This is what the team has come up with, okay? They have actually given a description of what customer-centric means and what innovation means to them, and also given expectations in terms of clear behavioral expectations. The statements are here. I would like to leave it on the screen for a couple of minutes for you to read. So read it first from the description angle. What is it talking about? Is it holistic? Okay. The other, then you'll have to see looking at what are the descriptions and how did it transcend from an executive management down to the junior management. Just read them. Then we will go to the next level of review and inputs that I have. Okay, so can we move on? Yeah, anyone want some more time? All right, silence, so I move on. Well, basis this, I've actually had, let's take customer centricity. Now, so what are we talking about under customer centricity? This is for Venkat's and team and for the inputs of the others. It's all about client business understanding. Now, correct me if anything is, I have actually put something which it doesn't mean here. Okay. So what I felt is, when I read on all the behavioral expectations, because for me as a reviewer, it doesn't matter whether it is junior management or executive management. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3. We have about 10 behaviors which will be exhibited in your company around customer centricity. Now, will this sum total behaviors enable me get what I want? That is how I go back when I review it as the as you know, as an external person wearing the hat of a reviewer. So I looked at it and said, and are they, what do they mean here? Okay, so first thing for me is, what is the expectations? What's the overall expectation? As you rightly put it up, you said understand the customer with empathy, engage with customer and resolve his queries, or meet customer requirements with prompt response. So if I have to put it, what I didn't see here is the themes that came up when you had discussed. Sorry, who's that?
Sorry, who's that? Sorry.
Oh, can all of you put yourself on mute, please? Okay. So if you go back to the architecture, when you're trying to build it, we said, understand all the behavioral indicators that are expected at various levels. There will be some themes that will come up. So themes, when we actually consolidate themes, it's all about customer, and therefore you came up with customer centricity. The team must have discussed about it, but the themes have not been defined or specified here. So what happens when you have a theme? A theme is basically a subset of what you expect from customer under customer centricity, because customer centricity may mean many things for many people. In a group of 5, if there are 5 different views, just imagine you have an organization of 1,000 crores, at least you must be having 10,000 people with you, right? Including the field sales guys, right? Collections, field sales, all of that I'm putting together. Now, it will mean different to many people. Therefore, it's important from an organization standpoint, what are the key areas that I want to focus on around customer centricity? It doesn't mean that the others are not important, or it doesn't mean that others are not relevant. The point is that at this juncture, what could be my key focus overall? At the minimum, if I focus on these 3, 4, or 2 areas, it will enable me achieve the numbers, and the factor of customer will be taken care of, and therefore I can realize my business plan. So it's only from that perspective, it is important to have the themes. And the second thing is also, because if you have the themes, if you do an assessment, you will know exactly under customer centricity, which are the areas are strong areas or strong capabilities in your organization, which are the areas you need to strengthen. Right? It's from that perspective, you need themes. So when I looked at the notations that you gave, and before we parted out in the last session, you did tell us where the business is going. So I also put some assumptions, and I felt that it's all about client business understanding, right? Client or customer business understanding or customer needs. Now, you might be a service provider to someone, or you might be a direct provider as well, right? Then it is all about client satisfaction. Client or customer, we can use it either ways as it suits us. The third thing also I saw as per the descriptions is, because if they have any problems, you'll have to fix them up. If you have resolutions need to be given, right? So it's all about problem avoidance and resolutions. You don't want a problem to be surfacing there. Now, one could argue saying that is proaction. Now, proactivity, basically how you really plan, that could probably fall under planning and organizing. how could you plan, what it is. So when you have writing a competency on it is a supportive or enabling competency, but around planning and organizing. If you actually write competencies around planning and organization, you can put, proactivity and all that stuff. But as far as customers are concerned, you want to avoid problems. Maybe we can use another word. Avoidance doesn't mean that, you're just carpeting it, but you don't want problems to surface. That means you will understand their potential problems and fix them, provide resolutions there. Similar. That's where actually you said define SLAs for resolving customer queries. SLAs are, so which means that you already have or understand what are the current problems or potential problems of customers. And therefore you want to put some kind of resolution mechanism, right? So that's where I actually thought about, and I thought I could give these suggestions. Now, the text in the red are basically questions to the team, or basically for us to really understand. Junior management, I'm fine with it. I think the way you put up is okay. And when it came to the executive management, now I'll come downward, top, bottom. Executive management, I think this team, right, is a team which is going to drive the business numbers, and customers is a key role for them, right? Business numbers and customers. We need to expand this. Sorry, the P is missing there. We need to expand this. Now, what does it mean in expanding? We'll come to that. What I felt is formulation of business plans taking into consideration customer requirements is a very mellowed down statement expectation from them, right? I felt so. It has to be a lot more loaded. Otherwise, they formulate businesses taking into consideration of customer requirements. Now, all plans are taken into account, but what does it mean? So what is the expectation from them? I have some suggestions. We can see if that makes sense. You can take it or rewrite it. The next is a senior management. When you talk about coach the team to create an environment of engaging and building relationships based on lasting values to ensure customer loyalty. We're talking about too many things here. One is coaching the team to create an environment, coaching to create a culture. Coaching is part of leading and developing competency. Now here we need to say, what is that we want them to do to drive customer centricity? This is where, because you don't have a theme, you're not able to connect the threads. If we have a theme on a particular line, we will be able to connect the threads. Okay. Now, similarly, organize processes around customer taking into account of complex and sensitive issues to meet their long-term needs. Well, customer centricity is of high impact even in this role. I would like to explain only to give more clarity on what it means. Is it about organizing processes and planning, or is it about being sensitive to customers' business needs or requirements, or what is it? We need to be more specific here. So that's how actually I went about. Now, identify the block roads for team members to deliver customer-focused resolution. Well, for this team, what will this manager do? A middle management person. So if we have a theme identified, now we are talking about business understanding, customers' business understanding, or if your customers are your direct end users, then we will have to write it in a different way. Customer basically customer, what do we call them? We call them as customer need identification or need assessment, right? For providing solutions. What are they supposed to be doing around that? They need to be understanding what are the needs of people. As you've actually put up, the rural people, we want to go there, but what are the needs? They need to be understanding what are the needs, what will work there, what will sell there as a product, right? So those kind, if you actually break it into a theme, you'll be able to link them. Overall, this is fine. First cut, perfectly fine. So I actually went back to say what could be my suggestions? Now, this is not all in all suggestions because we need a lot more deliberations, a lot more talking and all that. But from a training perspective, to give you an idea of how it probably could be, right? The blue ones are what you've already given, but maybe can be rewritten from this angle. So what I did here is just to give you an idea of how you can go about it. Now, on the extreme left, where you have client business understanding, client satisfaction, problem avoidance resolutions, client relationship building, is what actually are the terms. The words can be changed to suit to you. But the point is that if you have a theme, you will know how what that theme means to an executive management to a junior management, right? When you're talking about a client business understanding, it's every time you look at when an executive is moving around your corporate corridors should be seen as a trusted advisor by customers. Only then that when your customers are coming back to you, now there'll be big, small, direct, indirect. So that's the level of expectation. Assuming that you have a customer, you have a corporate client, or you have an individual group of clients or whatever, you need to be a trusted advisor to the customer. Now, this will become a very narrow sense for an executive manager in insurance business if it is direct individual. If it's institutional customer, then this is a very big thing, right? So when you are doing, that's where when you do your own sector, your own company's competencies writing, you will actually take that into account. So what I'm trying to say is the weight that needs to be given in expectations is way above than what we are actually talking about here in this part. Okay, I'm actually elevating the expectations.
Absolutely.
So if you actually put up all these four together, right, seen as a trusted advisor, just look at the executive management column. What am I expecting around the customer quadrant of my business? From an executive management, I expect them to be a trusted advisor to my customers. I want them to be considering the long-term impact of both internal and external customers while making customer-related decisions. It's the decision-making that actually comes in. Which part to go? What is the ratio between organic, inorganic growth? I take into account the customer's expectations and needs. I take into account the customer landscape. Where am I going to go? Which geographies I'm going to go? There are all long-term decisions, right? Because they are the people who make those decisions. Okay. Now, when it comes to problem avoidance and resolutions, well, they need to assess critically of situations and support customer requirements to strengthen long-term relationship with customers. Now, this could be in your case, in the insurance case, I'm not talking about customers who are one-on-one customers. They are important, but the executive leadership will not be with one-on-one, right? They would be in a global area, in a more holistic area, right? They could call as independent, what do you call them, retail customers or institutionalized customers, or you might have, I don't know what else. But when it comes to the executive management leadership, it's very different when it goes to the junior management. Similarly, I need to add upon saying develop and sustain relationship to interactions in customer forums of current and potential customers to generate business opportunities. Well, I expect this from the executive management. Now, if you start going and reading them holistically, so you will know this is what I expect from them on a customer and quadrant of my business. And if you actually look at on client business understanding, right? So this is in terms of role expectations when you're looking at executive management, senior management holistically on this competency. That's how you can review it. End of the day, this is the minimum that I expect my executive leadership to do. This is what I want the middle management to do at the minimum. They could be doing many other things, but as a focused demonstration of behaviors day in, day out, if they demonstrate these at the minimum, we can do wonders. That's what is the expectation written. Now, this is on the quadrant part of it. Now, when you say, how do I know? How do I assess? How do I develop? Which area of this of customer centricity I need to be really focusing on in terms of strengthening our abilities? That's when you can actually easily go the other way around. Client business understanding. Okay, our people have less or of client business understanding, or the problem avoidance and resolution. You can name it something else, right? But we need to focus more on problem resolution. So then you put in processes, you put in development programs, you put in forums and things like that. Does this make sense?
Yeah, so I see we were missing on the themes. So I think if the themes would have been there, it would have been easier for us to,
Exactly. That's the input. And the other input I have is we need to also look at it holistically from expectation of the level in which the role is operating.
Yeah, correct.
These are the two things. If you can just take those two things, I think it will be good.
Yeah.
Guys, can you just give me a minute? I'll just grab a glass of water. I'm sorry.
Sure, sure.
Just give me a second. Sorry, I'm back. Thank you. So any questions by any other team? That otherwise I would want to go on to innovation, which is a bigger one. Should I move ahead? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
Silence,
yeah,
so I take
yeah,
I can move
please.
ahead. Okay. All right. So on innovation, this is what actually you've come up with. Again, the same thing. Start looking at it from a role perspective holistically, and also start looking at themes. So the themes that I got when I looked at it is that your expectation around whatever competency you put up is ability to anticipate the future, right? Bring creativity and ideas, foster creativity, right? Then it's about strategic opportunities for change, identifying strategic opportunities for change. Because you're moving from 1,000 crore to 3,000, there might be a change of course of actions that are required. And therefore, what is the strategic thinking that needs to be going in for change? Then you were talking about competitive breakthrough strategies. Well, that's breakthrough innovation, what you're talking about. Breakthrough is basically saying, don't go the conventional way, start looking at it. It's a huge target that we are looking at. I think you said 3 years or something is the time frame, or 2 years. And that's a huge leaps and bounds of expansion. And therefore, you need to look for breakthrough innovation and strategic in thinking, right? That's what I could gather when I am reading out all of these behaviors across in your company. Is that right, Venkat?
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
But
The time horizon, the time horizon is 5 years, but 2020 to 2025. That's it.
Okay. So depending on the landscape and the market opportunity and also the socioeconomic condition, you know how tough or easy it is. And is it a stretch target? Is it a lenient, okay target? I won't say no companies actually make lenient targets. Then it's actually, continuous improvement. It's not part of heavy, a frog leap jump. But in your sector, if 5 years is a very challenging change from 1,000 to 3,000, then I think it's more important to look at a strategic thinking as a separate competency, because it requires, you're talking about breakthrough strategies, that thinking should be there. So I actually thought, some of these, and the reds are actually put up as themes. So middle management, the strategic opportunities you're talking about, value creation, value creative ideas. How do you really encourage? Now, if I put all of them only in one box, it becomes you will lose control over either assessment or development. Assessment from saying, how strong I am on. If you actually assess all of them put together, you will not know whether the ability to grab strategic opportunities exists in the company or not, or if it exists, to what extent. Same thing, if you are assessing in the same scale or in the same breadth and length, you will not be getting the inputs on how much do they value on creative idea, how much of creativity is being encouraged in the company, right? You'll not be able to. Therefore, it is important to break them as themes and then get it. I'm sure you got that. So I have two options here. I'm jumping fast because this is not a complete in class session. I want to give you an overall perspective on how you can review and go back. First option is that you can start looking at it this way. The reason, again, I put it as executive management to junior management so that the flow of thinking can go. Well, the definition you have given is anticipates future consequences, trends, accuracy, brings creative ideas, recognition, is okay. But I felt that it is actually more thematic description. There are a lot of themes put together. That's how description goes in, rather than something that can hit into my head. What could perhaps, you can reword it now. It doesn't mean that it's not. Put the same thing, it's okay, anticipates future consequences, trends, security, brings creative ideas, recognizes. We need to rewrite this, but as is still okay. But if I look at it, what I felt that you need to break them into a lot more themes than just innovation, because you're talking about strategic thinking. I thought that instead of saying, and only thinking doesn't help, because you've also given me a lot of behavioral indicators, expectations in terms of actions, right? Actions on ground as well, right? Very action oriented, not just thinking, but those have to be translated into actions. And therefore, I thought it's important to put the word thinking and acting strategically. If you just say thinking strategically, then you don't want to have another competency saying that you want to act strategically, because they need to maneuver, they need to break through, they need to go into new, you need to cut the woods and go, right? If you're going from 1,000 to 3,000 crores. And therefore, I thought more appropriate would be in titling it as thinking and acting strategically. You can leave the definition the way it is, or you can rewrite it. So that's where you can review, and this is the feedback I can give you. Now, the themes that come up is like, when I actually looked at what your expectations are in terms of these, right? I felt that what is that they need to be demonstrating? Strategic thinking means what? They need to have a clear business understanding, the landscape of your own business and the vision. You need to have a long-term perspective. You spoke about it. Innovation, out-of-the-box thinking is what you've asked for. Innovation and out-of-the-box thinking, why we put both is your strategy to get to 3,000 is both organic and inorganic, right? Out of the box thinking, you've been doing certain way. Is there anything that I can do differently so that I can mine more from current customers? And then innovative and breakthrough is basically, how can I get new footprints? What are the right things that I can do? What are the things that I can avoid? So therefore, I thought more thematically, innovation and out of box thinking can actually put in there. Then we spoke about change. You spoke about adaptability to change and also strategizing change, and you spoke about alignment to change. So I thought openness to change is one thing. Once they are open to change, then half the job of the people are done, right? You need to be open to change. And what it means is, I've just put it as an example. You can see how it flows. The other thing is, not just open to change, you also deal change, and ability to deal with change and ambiguity is another competency that's required, especially when you're moving in with such high numbers and you're going into unknown territories, right? There'll be a lot of ambiguity. They cannot be always given instructions and this is how you have to go, this is how you have to go. So an ability to deal with change and ambiguity is what we want them. Every member in the management needs to be having. So this is one option in terms, and the descriptions, I've expanded this description. Some of them I've taken from you. Some of them I've actually put on what basis I've actually, built a huge dictionary. It's not that I copy pasted them, but I actually thought about it and I've rewritten it for you. You can go through it. Some of them might be applicable. Some of them you want to rewrite. The point I'm trying to really convey to you is that it's important, innovation, because you're talking about thinking and innovating, strategic and operational. So how do we really put them up together and make them very clear expectations at levels? Again, thinking and acting strategically, look at it this way. What it means to an executive management, what it means to a mid-management level, what it means to a junior management, right? So you can rewrite these statements basis your own business, nature of business, and the business environment you're in. Okay, this is one option where you can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 themes under one competency. Now, if you think no, innovation or change has to be, change is something which is big, because the way we were operating up to 1,000 crore company is okay. But if we have to move to an orbit of 3,000 requires a very different kind of world together. Imagining the way you'll actually write that is, imagine you're a 3,000 crore company. What would be your org structure? What would be the numbers, that expectation and performance expectations that you have? What would be the landscape of your client and customers, right? Think, and therefore, if you feel that change now to move to there is something that we have to really work on, that's when you can actually break it into 2. so that you can drive that development. You can drive the assessment, see where I'm strong at as an organization, see where I need to be, really strengthening talent over there. So I thought maybe you can also look at this way. You can break it into two: thinking and acting strategically, so you can have business understanding and long-term perspective, so that, you're not focusing so much on strategy. The word cannot be understood even after senior management and below level, but still we want them to be thinking strategically, but more acting strategically. It's probably, your thinking will be here, and from here on it will start off with alignment, and here it is more of acting. Right? It's also okay to break because of the depth of focus that you want to give on change management, because it's a huge change. Sometimes because you might have on the way mergers, acquisitions, you might have, new lines of businesses coming in. So there is a lot of change that keeps happening. You might want to break it up and look at it. In that case, you might want to put innovation under championing change, commitment to continuous learning and change, innovation and out-of-box thinking. Demonstrate commitment to continuous learning and change. Look for innovative ways to accomplish objectives within constraints of the system. Because you're moving from 1,000 crore to 3,000, you'll also be operating under constraints. It's not a smooth journey, right? It could also, so what it means is that strategic thinking is separated from change. It's not, they are intertwined, versus if you put everything under one competency like this, might be difficult for you to drive institutionalizing the framework. That's the only difference. Else you can go either ways. The other thing also for people to remember in terms of what is expected out of me is easier, no more than 4 things under a particular competency. Like if you actually look at it, a junior management guy here would be looking at 5 of them. 5 expectations around one competency. Now, I know I can, where I'm good at, what it is. Institutionalizing becomes very palatable, acceptable when you say people that, oh, you're good at 3 things, but you need to improve on 1 thing. Rather than saying, you know what, there are 5 things and you are, holistically on a competency, you are at a 3 level, not on a 5 level or a 4 level. Right? So it becomes slightly easier to drive positivity and development. That's the only reason why. And also people can remember it very easily. Only 2 things I expect from you from strategic thinking and acting. Demonstrate broad understanding of the company and customer and services, anticipate situation and prepare ahead in your own work area to avoid problems. If these 2 things at a very, very ground level, everybody exhibits, right, and practices, I think there could be a huge strategic thinking. What can you expect as strategy from them, right? All that you need is they need to have an understanding. That's important. As long as they know what expectations they are setting with customers on ground. Okay. So this is a second suggestion I had. I actually looked at what you gave and then I actually rewritten it. I don't mind sharing this with the teams so you can have a perspective of how to look at and how to really write your competencies. Well, any questions? Our first 1 hour, oh, bang on, we are on time. Perfect. All right. Any questions here before we move on to the next exercise?
I have a question and maybe you've also covered it. Sorry if I'm going to be pacing this the group down a bit. So you did mention that under the competency, we should have like 3-4, maximum 4 descriptors, but is there a limit to how many competencies we should have?
Normally, companies go anywhere between 4 to 8. Less than 4 is actually, you really don't know what you're thinking of, because in a typical balance score also you have 4 quadrants. So at least you expect, 4 areas of focus of business, people, money, and operations, right? So you need to put in that. But 8 competencies beyond that is really, really difficult. And even if I take as 3 or 4 a maximum in a competency, there'll be a 32. If I say 8 into 4, who's that? Can someone put on mute, please? Okay. So if we actually look at 8 competencies and 4 themes in each, that's the max you can go. I think beyond that, people cannot understand and digest, and you will not be able to institutionalize either in a 360 feedback or your potential assessment. You can actually go, there'll be a 32 prescriptive behavioral expectations. from a level, right?
Sure.
Because if I take a junior, so I think that's what I have driven in a couple of companies, and they were manageable. There were companies where went in only for 5 with 3 each, which is also okay. And if you are a company which want to really, go slow, these are the aggressive companies. Don't really go slow. You might want to choose only 4 core competencies that will really, really build show that change and efficiency. And maybe I think expectations of 2 are at a very, very minimal level. And that's very difficult to define, but consciously that I'm going to define these only 2 themes that means 2 behavioral aspects in the themes that you give in for a level, and maybe 5 competencies or 4 as a balance. You can actually take 4 competencies, 2 themes each, 8 behavioral demonstrations. If you are a company which, as a DNA and culture of the company, is really, really at a very low assessment level. Okay. Right? You need a lot of change that needs to be coming in, a lot of alignment that needs to be coming, a lot of partnerships that you have to foster. Then the minimum, I think below that, you will not be able to define. At least I can't. I don't think I can. I don't think I can incorporate the expectations of business in less than this number.
Sure. Sure. And is it all right to say that if you are still figuring your way out as an organization and you're evolving very fast, that you might want to revisit the competencies, let's say, over a period of time? And is there a time frame for it, which is logical?
Absolutely. Yes, we spoke about this in the last session. It's extremely important to relook at your competencies, because like say in this company, they have actually, where they have actually worked out, they said they're going to 1,000 crores to 3,000 in 5 years. Now they're going to build a competency framework, and I think they need to, mid 3 years or 2.5 years, they should start relooking at it. The reason is you need to review it. I'm not saying you got to change them, you got to review it. And the reason why I take at least 3 years, typically in a horizon of 5 years, depends on what kind of organization you are. We spoke about it in services. The horizon that they look at in a mid-sized companies or smaller companies beyond 5 years is very difficult to ask a CEO and say, where is the business going 5 years down the line? Give me exactly, I'll build competency framework. He'll give you numbers, but they're not realistic. There'll be no more than 3 years. A business which cannot look forward for 3 years, I think you're not ready yet to build a framework like this. If a business, so my point is that 3 years horizon, at least you need to have. Otherwise, leave it at training and development, need identification, and things like that. But even if you have some kind of a sense of 5 years, 3 to 5 years, I think it's good time to do a framework, definition, and revise it 3 years. The reason I'll give you why 3 years, it takes, you build it today, it takes at least 6 months for people to understand, get it into their thing. And it takes another 6 months for you to even figure out how you're going to institutionalize this. You will start it, you will start getting the results, and it's a year. Then you start reaping the benefits of this entire thing after a year, because these are behavioral changes, and all of us know that they're very hard to change. And it is more of adult learning, adult change, acceptance of change, and then institutionalizing in other systems of HR. Could be on your performance, succession planning, potential assessment, development. Depends on the maturity of these processes also in your organization. So what happens mostly whenever I do this, they also come back and say, oh, if we have to do a 360, we're not doing a proper performance management. They come and say, can I get to know where my people are? I need that 9 bucks. Good. But can you do a potential assessment? Is your performance management right to mark for me to plot, an accurate assessment of where people stand? Then they come back and say, you know what, we have a lot of work to do on our performance management. So then you embark on that. So trying to put them all together, a 1 year to 2 years will take in setting those things right. Having said that, if your company has a decent enough performance management system, that you also have some development programs in place, so you can actually integrate them. Integrating is perhaps a little easier on recruitment and selection because it's internal to HR. On performance management and potential and succession planning, it gets on to the executive leadership, and therefore it's slightly difficult for an HR person to position success there, right? Therefore, it takes time. But before even you try to understand how this is translating in terms of efficiencies for you, that gestation time is at least 3 years.
Got it.
Give that time.
Sure.
Yeah.
And last question. If we have four competencies and we have, let's say, 3 behaviors across each, it's just a hypothetical situation, which means we're looking at 12 behaviors. Is it necessary that across levels we need to have a description across those 12 behaviors? Like, some may only apply to senior executives, for example.
Well, so the reason why we say is, well, there's no right or wrong answer, but I think it's more appropriate to have it down the line of implementation, because else what you're expecting at an organizational level, you will not see change on ground reality. And when you look at performance, you put strategy top down, but actual performance comes bottom up, right? There will be no alignment. And therefore, it is essential to define to the level of implementation.
Understood. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Yeah. In fact, that's exactly what we were talking about, Divya. If there is no alignment till the last level and very thematical, you will not be able to drive this behavioral change.
Sure. Understood. Thank you.
Welcome. Anybody, any questions?
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yeah, Ursula, tell me.
So, ma'am, these were about the organizational competencies. Now, if in our organization, we want to focus on a particular grade and develop their competency framework, and supposedly if we are a very new organization for the first time, do you suggest if there is any, and we are identifying the level of proficiencies. So to begin with, we actually started with having 3 levels of proficiencies, right, from basic, intermediate, and advanced. So do you suggest if that is the 3 level of proficiencies would really make sense, or we should, from the beginning itself have 4 to 5 levels of proficiencies?
Well, it's not essential to have 5 levels of proficiency. It's actually how you scope your study. How you scope basically your framework. Then, so when you're scoping it, but be clear when you're doing it for the first time, also start thinking at some point in time, you need alignment at the lower levels also, or at the higher levels. Sometimes the people come up and say, leave the executive leadership, leave the front line. Mid-management is very important. Come to me, tell me what competencies are required to be built in there. Well, they come up, but if you have to define what is expected at mid-management, you also need to understand that you don't over expect from them or under expect from them. So how are you going to do that? So when you do the calibration exercise, you need to ask your question, as saying, okay, if I'm expecting these set of behaviors, like say how we have it here at the middle management, you're only doing that. Okay, what around the 4 quadrants of customer, business, operations, and what attitudes are required if you take at mid-management. Well, also push yourself and ask. You might not want to roll it out, but I think it's important to write it even if it is at a draft stage. You might not be rolling it out but to ensure that you're not over expecting from the mid-management and also not expecting something which a junior management should be doing. You have to, if you are very focused on answering those questions, then it's about a rollout. You roll out only for mid-management. Maybe eventually you want to roll it out to junior management. Senior management, which is executive leadership, maybe you leave it, because sometimes more often they come back and leave us out. In fact, they are the ones who need it the most. So to answer your question, it is okay, but you need to have them as a draft only to ensure that you don't over or under expect from them.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Well, anybody else? Okay, so I need to be move on to the presentation. Okay, share. Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, the presentation, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. Fantastic. So, well, I want to take a pause here before we actually move on to the next level, but wanted to hear from at least 1 or 2 of you. How is it going so far? Is it giving you some kind, I don't expect that you get 100% clarity. Even if you're taking away from here 25%, I'm happy. It's an extremely complicated subject. Tell me Just anybody make me feel nice. It's a Sunday, please.
Yeah, I think it's making sense. And before the session, like I went through the previous 2 sessions notes that though I didn't get time to go through the entire of the material that has been circulated by Merit. So at least I thought to make it a point to go through your notes and the pointers that I've taken down. So now today I'm able to correlate in a much better way, and the things are clear, and I'm able to.
What I encourage you, Rajeshri, is that, you know, in the first session, in the second session, I shared the architecture picture with you. Yeah. All of us, I think some of you have taken the screenshot. Take that, and I would share today the Excel sheet. So I'll share the entire sheet, how it actually moved on into the review and things like that. I'm not saying that is 100% right that you can use it. You still have to, it's basically to give you an understanding of how you can go about in your company. So try and put the architecture and the frame and the final one that you got in here. So that's the architecture you use to build this kind of a competency framework.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That'll really help you.
Yeah.
Any questions you have later on, also I'm available. All of you have my mail ID, my number. More than happy to fill in any little gaps that we have.
Sure.
Anybody else? Ssr, sir, how are you?
Fine, ma'am. Going good. Fine.
Any queries, any questions? How do you feel it now, until now?
Surely I would pose a question where I don't understand, but I joined little late, so some disconnection.
Okay.
Definitely I shall ask you.
Sure, we'll take it up. We'll take it up one-on-one, no problem. Absolutely. So anyone in this group who says, and it's okay, and I'm perfectly okay hearing to that, so that I only ensure that I will help you out even out of this session. Please tell me if there's anyone who thinks it went above my head, I just didn't get it.
Yeah,
I'm okay to repeat it for you.
It is good going.
Good going. Anyone who feels that it went above my head, and it's okay. And I think it's very important. You guys are spending time, effort, money, everything on this. I want to ensure that you take away. If it is less than 25% that it's sunken into your head, please tell me. I'm okay to repeat it for you at a later time.
Just one, ma'am.
Yes.
So I came across classification of competencies as technical, affective, and cognitive. So when we are classifying or when we are prescribing these behaviors, do they combine technical as well as affective as well as cognitive competencies, or how do we? Suppose customer, you mentioned customer centric. You mentioned in customer centric in theme 1, if all the 3 come, cognitive, affective, and technical.
No, what we have focused is on more closer to effective and cognitive than technical. Cognitive is thinking, and effective is very action oriented and operational. And that's why we call them as attitudes and skills and knowledge. Technical competencies are very specific to the function that the role is in, the person is in, or if they're technical competencies, right? How would a software project program, a services company would be working? How would the insurance entire thing would be working? How would the sales be working? How would HR be working? Like say HR competencies, all of us are HR folks here, most of us, so we understand. What are the HR competencies? Now within HR technical competencies, you have specializations. So what are generic technical competencies required for any HR person? And what are the function, second level technical competencies? Then you get into specifics. What is that additional thing that a comp and person should be having? What is that a recruiter should be having? What is that should a performance management person? And then you have roles. What are the competencies required for an HR business partner? What are the technical competencies that we expect from a COE person? So that is the technical part of it. But if you are a manager, you are a manager in finance, HR, operations, sales, anywhere. And these are business managerial competencies or leadership competencies we are talking about. Yeah.
Fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. And in terms of proficiencies, it might be going in your mind, well, there is nothing wrong about, I think there are frameworks which will say either executive level, mid-management, senior management, mid-management, junior level. Or if you look at the descriptions, you can also rewrite them as, as they would have as novice, trained, experienced expert. So if you don't, an expert could be sitting, like say if we look at the competencies that we actually wrote about, say in an executive management, a particular behavioral pattern you take and you said this is somebody will be exhibited by somebody who's an expert. Not you can find a person exhibiting those behaviors even as a mid-management person. So when we are doing an assessment center for anyone, we start looking at, next level competency exhibition also. So it depends on where you want to use it, you can use it. There's nothing wrong in even flipping it and saying the junior one, which we actually said right now, is actually a novice. The second level of descriptions are actually for a trained person who actually understands what it is. Then it is an experienced and expert. But this kind of classification of proficiency is more suitable for technical competencies, because technically you want to know who is just a new entrant, who is a trained person, because it is a technical skill that you require. So that kind of classification of proficiency is more appropriate in technical. Managerial, you want, because it's managerial or leadership is determined by the level of operation, right, in the org structure, in the org design. Whereas technical is basically the proficiency of that knack or the technique required for output. Yeah, I hope this would help the team. All right, so we move on to the next part of the session, tools for our assessment. Very important, we have another session, I guess, again, but here I would want to share with the team, and we will use the same competencies as we do an exercise later. So what are some of the tools that we use if we have to do an assessment? Okay. And assessment tools are typically either you have a competency-based interview, you have a group decision-making tools, you have role plays, you have in-basket, and you have case analysis. So why do we want to use so many of them in an assessment? What is an assessment center? Why do we want to do it? Well, let's just understand the various tools that you might be coming up. Then we'll go to what assessment centers are, which tools to be used, why, how, all of that. A competency-based interview actually includes personal history questions and problem-solving tasks and scenarios. Typically, it's like any other interview, but a focused interview on the competencies that you are expecting. Or for a level, you take the behavioral indicators and keep designing an interview questionnaire basis the competency expectations. And the assessment will be happening on the basis of the way they are responding. So this is typically a competency-based interviews. More and more companies are actually moving on to this because they want a focused expectation assessment. Then we use case analysis and presentation. What does this do? This requires a candidate to lead a large set of information. We actually give a large case and then answer questions related to the subject matter. If we are talking about strategic thinking, then we'll have questions out of that case for them to answer on their strategic thinking ability. If it is about collaboration, we might have in that case, we will incorporate issues which are actually either supportive or detrimental to collaboration. And we would have a question on what solution would they be having, right? So that's why we have case analysis, and then they would present it as well, which will give a lot more thinking, how you're putting your thinking together and presenting it. Then there are group exercises, which are basically a group decision making, which we call, includes problem solving within a committee or a team by discussion. So that's why we have a group discussion. So if you look at it, the interview is a one-on-one. Case analysis is about a business scenario or a case that you could have, a potential problem or identified, either it could be not necessarily a problem, but more important because it's a thematic basis. So therefore it will be related to that. And again, it's an individual exercise. But how do you really perform in group? How do you agree to disagreements? How do you put your point forth? How do you really come up to consensus? Do you agree to disagreement? How do you drive to your point? Right? If you have a strategic thinking and you are very clear about what you want to, how are you convincing, how are you taking people along? And that's important. Role play exercises involve acting out, and all of us know that they're business related situations we give them. In basket exercise, it includes prioritizing documents in basket. Basically, in your basket, you have a whole lot of things to do. How do you prioritize those? How do you reply? How do you, the memos will be given? How do you delegate tasks? So all of these are typically, we use in basket exercises to assess these kind of skills. Personality or psychometric tests, in most assessment centers, companies don't use this because they would prefer to use the first 5, but some companies do also want to go in for personality or psychometric tests. Also, it's the personality questionnaires like the MBTI or Thomas profiling or anything, and then they try to put them together and saying what type of personalities are exhibiting which kind of competencies. But it's not essential to have personality type testing in an assessment center, but some companies do want it because they must not have done it earlier. They want to put it in conjunction, in correlation, and try and do an assessment. But my take on this was that a lot of bias would happen when you do a personality assessment. You've already I think you have to be careful with the bias that might creep in. Like, if I'm doing a Thomas profiling and it shows me as a, or any profiling and shows me as an introvert, but in a group discussion, I'm the one who's really driving it. But the assessor's mindset will go and start looking as an introvert, might over-assess the person, saying, oh, it shows the person as an introvert, but has been extremely good, but must not have got people into consensus at all. So therefore, I mean, I've never used it, I never encouraged it, but doesn't mean that you cannot take a call. It does help. I felt it never helped, so I thought it didn't work for me. I've seen bias creeping in there. So these are some of the tools that we use. And why do we use these tools is basically, I just gave a sample competencies here. These are very, these are the typical competencies. We spoke about thinking and acting strategically. We spoke about championing change. So I put them here. We looked at leading and developing, creating customer delight, working in collaboration, passion for achieving results, planning, organizing, communicating effectively. These are some of the competencies. How are we going to use these tools? Not necessary. The reason why we use these multiple tools, like say there's a role play, there's group discussion, competency-based interview, case analysis, because each tool has its strength in a particular area. Typically in an interview, you can get a lot of solutioning of thinking, but more important is that, you might not, in a case analysis, maybe strategic thinking comes out very well than in a group discussion, because the purpose of group discussion is slightly different, is to bring in consensus, participation, driving, all of that. Strategic thinking is basically giving a lot more, understanding the landscape, coming out with solutions, thinking about, the path, alternate paths. So when you give a case and ask them to analyze, it's more often more suitable tool to assess that competency. So each tool has a strength, and depending on what behavioral indicator you want to assess, you can see which tool can suit that. Yeah, that's why we need to know and understand how to develop these tools. You can also you can go to SHL, you can go to Hewitt, they have these tools, but they have the formats of these tools. When they do an in-basket, they will ask you, if you have already defined these concepts, a consultant would come and ask, take your inputs and build the tool for you. Because it has to be very relevant to the people who are taking the assessment. Like say if I give a case study on insurance, nothing wrong, but for a person who actually has no idea of insurance sector at all, right? So I might not be able to get the right perspective of his strategic thinking, his or her strategic thinking. That's the only point. But do I also push and give a different sectorial thinking, understanding how much they can go? But that could be a behavior under innovation and out-of-the-box thinking, BI. right? So I would probably use case analysis, give something, a twist to something which is not particular into my company. In that case, I will incorporate something. And when I do an assessment of the case, the person, the SSE has given responses, that part of the case study question will be linked to out-of-box thinking. How much of out-of-box thinking has been done? So that's why you have, so just get this into your mind. You have BIs, you have competencies, of course. First level competencies, you'll have to map which tool will be more appropriate for you. And then look at the BIs. Within that tool, what is that you're going to really focus on? Which behavioral indicator it can enable you to assess more appropriately, or enable the SSE to participate more comfortably and appropriately. That's why you need to know how these tools are built and how they are mapped. Any questions?
So one quick question. So if, since we obviously, if we start incorporating these during talent acquisition, and we will know how we assess people. So is it, so for recruitment, for recruitment efficiency, like what is a good time period to go back and reassess those same people? I mean, you don't do it like in a very obvious way to say, okay, now I'm assessing you. I'm just saying that when you go to the reporting manager and say, you know what, these were the 5 things we looked for in this person when we were hiring. Were we in line? Because sometimes you want to then go back and make changes in your assessment criteria.
Yeah.
So
let me just give you this answer in a slightly different perspective, but yes, related. So if you are doing an interview selection basis the competency-based interviewing, and your question is, when do I go back and look at it? Competency interviewing based interview or otherwise, you always go back in your gestation time of probation, right? When the person, you do 180 days, end of 180 days, or you do end of 12 months or 6 months, I don't know. So you always do a assessment of how the person new hire is been performing, right, at a stipulated time, either end of probation or end of the year. That's the right time that you go back and reflect. This was the assumption that we made when we hired. How is the person performing, right? So that's when you can actually use the same BIs to do an assessment. Well, you don't have to go through a detailed assessment center at the first time. I think 1 year, I think you should give the time, because typically probation is 6 months. Some have 3 months, depending on the level. Some have 1 year, right, depending on the level. Say if I take the first level engineers, we hire them, do a competency-based interviewing and hire them, but their probation or tryout time, because they are new entrants into the organization system itself, we give a full 12 month. So the end of 12 months, when you do a probation confirmation assessment, you can link it to a mini assessment center if it is a batch. But it's not viable to do, it's not even practically possible to do for every individual. You never do an assessment center. You can do an assessment reflection basis the same competencies you have interviewed the person, linking it to the performance. You can certainly do it, but then you make it very focused and like a mini assessment, but you won't do a full assessment. It's unfair. But at executive level, when I have actually done the CXO level hiring, after a year, a detailed assessment is done. In fact, some of them do a dip after 6 months and check for the performance gestation within 6 months. And they do go in, especially when they are doing a competency-based assessment hiring, right? They are at CXO levels. They do that in 6 months. In fact, they look quarter on quarter, and that shows on their numbers and what their focuses are. But 1 year gestation is good enough for a mini assessment. You need 2 years at least to enroll them into a full assessment center, because for them to understand expectation is also difficult, right? Yeah, I know it's a long answer, but let me just put it short. I think you can, a 1 to 2 year gestation time is required for new hires. Up to mid-management. I think senior management, you can always look at 6 months you enroll them. There are companies who do that. Yep. Anybody else? All right, so we move on. While doing or designing our tools, what we need to be really aware of. What are the focused behavioral indicators? If you go back to the text that we will be sending it to you, each description is a behavior indicator. So what is the focused behavior indicator? You just try to circle them and then say, what is your measurement criteria? You need to also define your scale. Then you need to also be knowing what is the content in my tool. If I'm doing an interview, because you know these are the 5 behavioral indicators on an interview, and these are 5 different or 6 or 7 BIs that I'll be assessing on a case study. So the content of the case study, when you design the case study, when you're actually writing a case and asking the questions, should be somewhere related to the BI that you are assessing. You'll have a lot more information around. But if it is not directing you to give an ideal, make questions around what you're looking for, then the content is not right. Therefore, when you build your tool, your content also should be looked into. Then you need to be giving ideal answers also, because assessors are not necessarily the same people who designed the tool. So you need to be giving the ideal answers. Why we say is ideal answers, the answers could be more or less around that response that you expect from the person, but not exact. It doesn't mean that they disqualify if they don't give you an exact response. In and around that, it is your maturity and judgment that will, as an assessor, and that's why we do assessor training, to get that knack of getting closer to an ideal answer. So for example, in a behavioral interview, if you talk about a competency-based interview, it's always suggested, when we design the tool, we tell them that more of, you need to be having more of, you should not be having leading questions. You should be having situational questions. If you give a leading question, basically saying, well, you are a South Indian, I'm sure you'll be liking to have on the lunch table a lot more of, idli dosa. You'll say, yes, it's a leading question. Well, instead saying, what would you like to have on your lunch table? I mean, I'm just giving you a very social question, right? So that's the difference between a leading question and a situational question. You give a situational question so that you'll be able to assess whatever you want to assess, and they come up with alternatives. Rather than saying, okay, you're actually pushing them to say a yes or a no. Doesn't mean that yes or a no leading questions are wrong. You lead the person towards the answer as a supporting question if you know that the person's thinking is going in the right direction, right? To the questions that you're asking is going in the right direction, but not able to catch the point. You want to little enable the person, which is okay, right? Intent is not to punish. Intent is to select and get the strength out of the person, right? So then you start looking at it and you give a leading question, very little leading question. Yeah. So those kind of ideal answers and questions is what is very important when you're building your tool. Then the Ssr input format. Now, as an assessor, how they are supposed to be giving an input when I do an assessment, because assessments are done by multiple assessors to multiple participants using multiple tools. So what is the input format for a particular tool? How would it go? Then important is, because you do use multiple tools and assess on, the same individual will be assessed by multiple people. Integration of tools and assessors is important. How do you integrate? So you need to build in an integration format as well. Then comes the final report. How will the face of the report look like? So these are some of the things that you have to keep in mind while you're designing the tool. All right, shall we move? Well, so now at least a little theoretical we go in. I know it's 12:37, we have an hour. I'll quickly move on to give you some kind of theoretical approach. What is an assessment center? It's multifaceted, multidimensional, and looks at about a range of competencies. It's not one competency that you get into assessment center, else it becomes a need identification and focused assessment on a particular competency. Then it's not a complete assessment center in itself, okay? It involves multiples. When we're talking about multiples, it's multiple competencies, multiple observers, multiple participants. You don't do an assessment center for one participant. Ideal size to run an assessment center is 8 or 12. SSEs. Ideally 12 is a good size because, mind you, you'll be running group discussions, and then you'll also want to make a comparative. You're doing it internally in a company, right? For what? One is to see where the individual stands and also to look at where the group stands, right? Multiple exercises. We looked at the exercises. Multiple observations. Now, what's the difference between multiple observers and multiple observations? Multiple observers are, you will have at least say 3 assessors observing 12 people. Now, multiple observation, an individual is observed by 3 observers across 3 different tools, across multiple competencies. And therefore, for an individual, there'll be a list of, say, the BI has been assessed by Assessor 1 around these 4 tools, by Assessor 2 around by these, using these same 4 tools on the competencies. Therefore, there are observations separate. So when you have as an individual, you'll have multiple observations for an individual because each competency is measured at least twice, and each assessor observes every SSE at least once. So if you have 3 assessors and 12 participants, every assessor needs to be observing every SSE at least once. So that's how your entire mapping of the assessment center, how it runs, needs to be planned. Any questions here? Okay, so now I want to just see, am I there? Okay.
Yeah, you're there, Bhagwati.
When you don't hear participants and it's a full screen, and I just put off the participants, icons over there so that I can see the full screen. Suddenly you realize that, oh, are you audible? Are you there? And you're going on talking. All right. Okay, thank you. Any questions here? Any questions here? It's not so complicated if you do it once. It looks and sounds complicated. Yeah, it's not easy. It's complex, but not complicated. It's complex. It's not complicated. If you can really, get to these. All right. Now, why do we want to assess? At what points this will help us? Well, selection, as Divya said, yes, it helps organization recruit the right people for the right jobs. We also use it for career development. Is basically the level at which the person is and what we expect from them. And when we do the career plans, also you can use the output of an assessment center because it gives you the strength report. And wherever there is an improvement area, that gives you inputs for your development. And when you do it for a group of people, you can also look at who are your hypots according to this, right? So as I said, it's very interesting when we do assessment centers, even at a very junior level. I was just talking about the strategic thinking, right? The expectation of behavior indicators at 2 skip levels, traces are seen even at very junior level. Those are the people you actually start plotting them and start, they become the list for your potential assessment as successors. So you use for succession planning. Potential assessment, basically you want to see whom where you want to place, where there is a new project coming in, potentially the high potential to take on. We were talking about in the previous case of business where we written it, we're talking about moving from 1,000 to 3,000. Who are those people who are very strong in terms of as an attitude to innovation and out-of-box thinking? Who are the people who are very high on openness to change and dealing with ambiguity? Those become my high priority list when a new geography, new product, I'm going in. I want to go and see, you wanted to get into rural areas, wanted to go. So those are the people whom you will allocate on projects like these. So it'll also help you there. Identification of high potential managers, we spoke about it. Succession planning, reduce the risk of wrong identification for critical positions. Well, sometimes assessment centers are run only for specific position. Now, Divya's question, or somebody actually asked, can I do a very focused one for one person? Sometimes we also look at very few people. There might be 3 people who will be exposed to an assessment center, because say if you have, you're looking for a director's position or an executive director's position, which is higher than a director, then you want to see who could be our potential. You have identified basis their past performance, but you want to look at where they stand in the role of an executive director. They will do a mini assessment. They won't take them through a detailed one. What they will do is they will typically give them, use a tool. They won't use all the tools. They will just typically use in basket. Basically, they put them in the role for a day. Role of the executive director in a day. They're actually being observed. They give all the challenges to them. They'll be recorded. They'll be told. They'll be prepared. And they're also given case analysis. What if conditions are given? They're supposed to be. And they are told that they are being assessed. And which means you don't have to use all the tools. You use 3 tools or 2 tools. But then they are being observed, and there is typically you do that in a very planned way because it is for a purpose. Therefore, assessments are done either for a group level or with a very focused purpose on focused competencies also, and also with very small group of people also. Yeah. Allocation, management development, identification of training needs, all of you know this. Well, why assessment center is a preferred tool? Now, is it a preferred tool? Is it not? Well, my, input or observation on this is certainly it is not the only preferred tool for a lot of CXOs, if you talk about a CEO, CXOs, until they start believing in it, until they start understand what is the competency framework all about. Otherwise, there's skepticism around it. Having said that, there are people who use assessment centers as a preferred tool, especially for having a comparative analysis. And it is also beneficial to assessors because it becomes observation about people and different behaviors across them. So very internally, more often it is used for mid-management and junior management. Right? Benefit of assessors because you have a skip level assessor. Either you do it externally, but most of the companies, at least what I know about, have been doing it internally. So they train skip level senior executives, which I also did in a couple of companies. In the company that I work, I said, we don't have money to have, hire assessors all over. So, I mean, especially where I have 300 I had 600 junior management people and about 250 mid management. So I didn't want assessors. If I actually go, the number is so huge and I don't have so much of a budget. So what I did is I've actually trained my VPs. We have identified some general managers and VPs, opened up the floor for a assessor certification. And there were about 80 people who have enrolled across the globe, and I could qualify only 25 of them. But if nothing, what happened at that point in time when we did an assessor training, they said, yeah, we know we didn't qualify as per your expectation as an assessor, but it helped me in understanding how to interview my candidates. It helped me know how to assess a performance, what goes in an assessment. I think that was a key benefit for the 80 people who actually enrolled themselves. We could only qualify with great difficulty. I actually gave grace marks for 5. Otherwise, there were only 20 people who could make good assessors. And those 20 people across the globe did assessment for these 300 plus, about 650 and then about 700 people across the company, which is very good if you can do that. It saves a lot of money because the senior level executives, when you do assessments, at least, the senior management and mid management, you don't have a skip level to do it. Therefore, you go external. And at that level, the cost becomes very high. So if you have only so much of budget, it's better that you can drive it internally. Yeah. Well, why you prefer is that it's evidence learning by observing, and some of these which I've actually just shown you, you want to read it out, you can read it out. It reduces bias because each observer gets to observe. This is a good tool in terms of assessment. Rather than single observer and assessor, reporting manager giving details, you have an external person. And then the reporting manager can say what is the person's attitude, either in terms of past performance or the way in terms of exhibited behaviors they see. What an assessment center does is it can give you how in future also they can be behaving, right? Because you give some scenarios or questions are futuristic. Right? A reporting manager has always said that, right? Past performance is not guaranteed to success in future. So your assessment center gives you a little edge over, a lot more edge over what a reporting manager can say. Yep. Well, do we think we want to build tools? Do we want to take a quick break and come back? What's the time? It's 1 o'clock. I would also want to show you what we could do is we will take the same BIs. I will just have it while you take a quick 5-minute break. I will, I'll stop sharing it here and let me see you guys. Yep. Yeah, some of you can on your videos that will look nice. So I feel good that I can see you guys. All right, so what we can do now, So what we can do is we'll take a quick bio break. And when we come back, I would want to show you how a typical competency-based interview format is made. Right? And then we can start, or we can't obviously today, design all tools, but at least if we can do an interview tool today, then when we come back in the next session, what I would also give you is how a typical in-basket looks like. I'll email all of those sample formats. So like how you came up with your competency framework for those 2 competencies. So we can also do an exercise when we come back. We have 30 minutes. It's 1 o'clock, 1:30, right, Anupama?
Yes.
Yeah. So one is that we need to do a mapping exercise. So I want we will make into 3 groups very quickly. The mapping metrics. You look at the competencies, the BIs. I will send it right away. Anupama will email it to this entire group. So what you will do is you will look at the competencies, right? The 3 that we spoke about. The final one, I will send it to you, which I showed, right? One is on customer centricity. Second is on thinking and acting strategically. And the third is championing change. Okay. So you will take the tools, which competency you can measure through which a tool is what the group needs to be first mapping tools and competencies. Because that's the fundamental before even you build tools. Did you get that? So if I look at the BIs back, and Venkat, this is for you and your team also. I think it'll be a little difficult for the other teams, but I think you can still get it there. You look at the BI, that is the competency theme, look at the theme and the entire behavior, the entire behavior expectation across levels. You can look at it and then say, take one level. We will take mid-management. Let's take mid-management and build tool. I think that's enough. Is that fair? Let's take mid-management BI expectation around these 3 competencies. So you have a theme, you have competency, right? And then you also have the description. You have on the other side a competency-based interview, role play, case study, in basket. Which one you think this BI can be assessed properly? If you give a case, you can do it. So each team can come up with their own mapping. So we'll do that and we'll look at how we're doing on time. And then if we are not able to, I don't think we can, but what we can do is then you go back as the same group and we'll assign you a tool. Let's do, each group can come up with an interview design and come up with any of them. Either you want to make a case or you want to take an in-basket or a group discussion, you can come up, because I'm going to send you these sample formats of all. You can pick up whatever you want. You want to build an interview format, you want to build a case, just as a group, pick up one. Yeah, I'll write the details and send out in the mail. Doesn't matter.
Sure.
For now, as an exercise, first thing extremely important is to know which BI can be more appropriately assessed by which tool. That's the mapping that we will do. Yeah. Okay. So let's connect back in 5 minutes. Let's take a quick bio break while I'll just put up, I think we can email the BIs to you. And the groups are ready, Anupama?
Yes.
Okay. So let me just share the file.
The same old groups, Anupama?
No, we have changed.
Okay.
There are 3 groups now.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right.
So we have
Bhagwati, you told, I'm sorry, Bhagwati, you told which BI can be assessed by which tool at the mid-management levels is what you told for each of the competencies.
That's enough. Yeah, that's enough as an exercise. We don't have too much of time, right?
Okay.
That's okay. It applies to the others also, but to make it simple for you so that you don't have to look at all the BIs, just look at mid-management.
Fine. Okay.
I'm sending this entire sheet to the team so that, you have it with you.
Anupma ma'am, what setting have you done on your screen, on your display? You're looking very, let me see, in some edited version.
What
The background?
Yeah, that is the company logo.
Okay. Yeah.
Anupama, I sent you a mail because I don't have I think I do. I think it's easier for you to send it. Out.
Anupama, you are sharing the competencies and the BIs, what Bhagwati has. Bhagwati must have shared, or Bhagwati, if you can just put it on the screen, take the screenshots.
Yeah,
I just I mailed it to you, Anupama, but I'll put it on the screen. I'll put it on the screen.
Or you can just mail, okay, that 3 competencies, no?
Yeah. So the whole file, I shared it with Anupama. She's going to just, because I don't have everybody's mail ID with me.
I'm sending it.
Okay, I just sent you an Excel sheet. I'm putting it up as well. Can you see it, Venkat?
Yeah, we can see it, Bhagwati.
Yeah, so here's what it is. The email is better if you have the Excel sheet with all of you. So the first one is thinking and acting strategically. We have championing change and then customer centricity. I just put them up. As a sample, what you could do is maybe you just block all of them like this. I'll just hide them so that it's easy for us. Yeah, let's do mid-management. Yeah.
Perfect.
So once we have this here, what we're going to say is CBI, okay? And then there is a group discussion, okay? There's a case analysis, okay? And then
in basket.
In basket. I think this is enough. This is enough, right? So what we will do here is let's quickly say yes, no, yes, no. We can do it as a team also. It's not, I mean, you can just go this way, go back, debate, and come back and say this is most appropriately. You also know what an in-basket is. What is an in-basket is basically the entire day of all emails, memos, meetings, everything. Basically act for the day kind of a thing. Enroll in the basket you are, you need to get out of it. So that kind of an exercise we can give. Case, group discussion, all of you know, CBI, you know, interview. So you might say, pick up one, business understanding, the best suited I can get. But every BI, ensure that there are 2 tools you can measure from, not one. So there must be a yes in 2 tools for every BI.
Yeah.
All right, so you guys will move on into groups. I think she will just put it up, make your breakout rooms, and you can go and come back. We can do, I don't think you will take more than 10 minutes to do this exercise. So we come back at 1:15. It's 1 o'clock. We come back at 1:15. Yep. Okay. I'll go take a quick break and come back. Okay.
Bhagwati, role play hasn't been included as an option.
We didn't put it here. We want to, okay, we'll put it here. Sorry. Yeah, add it up. I'm just saying role play. Okay.
Open karna.
Anupama, are you creating breakout rooms?
Yeah, it's already created. I think Bhagwati is writing something. Let her finish, then we can open the breakout room.
Oh, no, you can go ahead and write. I thought it's already over. I was expecting them back.
Okay, fine. It's open now.
They were supposed to be finishing it by now. It's already 1:15. You have another session, right, Anupama, at 1:30?
Yeah. क्या open? Huh? हाँ हो गया?
Oh, they haven't gone into their breakout rooms? Can you just come on here on the video? You, Ursula, you have a query, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ursula is saying she's not able to. Which group have you added her to? One. Huh. Yeah, but she's saying she's not able to see Venkat there. Okay, Ursula, you got to join the group, yeah?
No, I joined the group and then I left to check here if Venkat
go again. Yeah, go again. Maybe you should
Okay.
find him there. Okay. Yeah. Okay, Anupama. Anupama, can we have them back? They must have been done. Are you done, Venkat? What's this? All right. So looks like you guys are back.
Yeah.
Everyone back? Hi, Raj. So, okay. Rashmi, your whole team is back?
Yeah. All three
Okay.
of us have joined.
Okay. Okay. So do you want to now each team can come? You're in group A or 1, 2, 3, right? Of which team are you in?
We were in group 2.
Okay.
We were in
Naresh, Rajshri. All right.
Yeah.
Group 2. Okay. So group B is what I've actually priced. I should have group 2. I'll just change it. Okay.
I lost on the net connectivity. Am I audible now to the?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, because earlier when I connected, I think there was some issues, audio related issue.
Oh, okay.
Now it's fine, Venkat.
Okay, fine, great. So I could not participate at all in the whole exercise.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, I've done my part.
Okay, no problem. So
I'll share it with the team. Yeah.
Okay, so Venkat, it's you, Ursula, and Aarti, right?
I just got in. Just now I connected Bhagwati with them.
Okay,
So,
do you want to connect up with them? They might be in the room and come back.
yeah, or once they're done, we'll do it here itself because we have come out of the breakout room.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Doesn't matter. Wow, we have an Indian Idol singer.
Divya, Naresh, and Rajshri, you have come out of the breakout room, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you are done with. Okay.
Yeah, we are done.
Let them just come back so we can just.
Anupama, I think Ayesha and Aarti may be still in the room thinking that I'm joining. So you can just let them know that.
Yeah.
Because.
Yeah. So what we can do is we can start off with group 2. Group 2 is Divya, Naresh, and Rajshri. So one of you can tell me, I'll just plot down yes here. So if you let me know CBI, competency-based interview, which are the BIs that I need to mark yes on?
So, we have noted down on paper. So I'll share with that.
I'll put it here.
So for business understanding, we have identified as CA and IB.
CA and in basket. Okay. All right.
Then for long-term perspective, we have gone with CBI and CA.
Okay. Next.
And for openness to change, we have identified CBI and role play.
And role play. Okay.
And dealing with change, GD and CA.
Okay. 1 second. I need to just do this.
There was one more.
sorry, you have to just let me know. I want you guys to see the whole thing instead of putting it here. Okay. So can you just let me know again for dealing with change and ambiguity?
GD and CA.
Mm-hmm.
So this is group
And
2,
innovation.
no?
Innovation.
Bhagwati, this group 2. So GD and CA is what they were told, I think. So yeah, you have put it in GD1. Yeah, correct.
Innovation, actually, I didn't note it down. We didn't discuss on innovation.
Okay, no problem.
Bhagwati, earlier one, no, you have put it in group 3. You have to put it, this case analysis group 2, column M. You have put the yes in column N.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, that's
right. All right. So let me just freeze. Yeah. Tell me now. So tell me for the other ones, group 2, client business understanding.
Actually, we did up to that only. So should we go back to our room? And
no problem. That's okay. That's okay. It's for an understanding. Let's see what the others have to say. So we have the other group, group 3. Riva, Soumya, Venkateshwaralu, and Shaurya. Venkateshwaralu, are you there? No, they haven't yet come.
Haven't come back.
The group 1 also, I don't know whether Aarti and Aisha, they have joined. Can I go ahead with my...
So let them just come back, right? So meanwhile, Rajshri, do you want to just do this? You 3 of you are here. Do you guys want to give?
Yeah, Naresh and Devya, should we discuss?
Yes, we can.
So one is client business understanding, is aware of customers' business expectations and potential problems. One can be
CBI.
CBI and IB.
IB.
Yes, IB, sure. Because that is where he will show his understanding that how he's reading about the market and everything. And then
the next one, client satisfaction.
Yeah.
See customer feedback and resolve with efficiency to enhance the customer experience.
I would also put CA over here.
IB, yes, IB would be again a good input tool for that purpose. And of course,
should I take it?
Yeah, IB is.
IB and
I would put CA, case analysis.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you have
problem avoidance and resolution. Define the SLA for resolving customer queries. Provides a variety of options to meet your customer's needs.
GD?
Even CBI, like if he's given with a
CBI
scenario and how he's handling the customer queries, what way he's how they plan to resolve the issues. And
yes, that also makes sense because you can always have the very broad picture coming out in CBI from a problem and business scenario and everything. Yes. CBI and GD both.
Okay.
GD could also be one of the good method wherein the problem is given for discussion and they discuss and then they come out with the.
How about a role play? How about a role play? I'm just asking. I don't know the answer. I'm just asking.
A role play is a good one, according to me. Yeah.
Yes, or role play also could be a good tool for this purpose.
So then you're going to trade off with what? Role play with what? CBI or GD? That you have to just ask.
No, then if it is a role play, then we can trade off with this GD, because in GD also carries somehow a kind of role play kind of situation. So if we have to choose two clear tool for this, then it could be CBI and a role play, and we can trade off GD.
Okay. Okay. Last one.
Client relationship building. Identify the block row for team members to deliver customer focus and focus resolution. Effectively solves problems to gain customer cooperation.
Yeah. So the one in blue is actually what they came up with. The one in black is what I thought should be rewritten as, but it doesn't matter. They're the same, more or less. So if you say identify roadblocks for the team members to deliver customer focus resolution, instead only identify roadblocks for the team and tell them this is what is going to be the roadblock. They need to be effectively solve problems to gain customer cooperation. One of the act in this process is to give guidance to the team on how to, if they face a roadblock, how to get out of it, right? So above that would come effective. Yeah. So I was just thinking, that's the reason why I put it there.
IB.
Okay. For effective provide solutions. Okay. You would go with IB?
Yes. Group 2, IB.
Okay. Okay.
And could be then RP also.
RP also.
Sure. Should I go with RP?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. This is not casting on stone. We'll see what the others also have to say. Right. This is not casting on stone. We can always look at it. All right. So others have come back. Yeah. So you want to change something, Rashmi?
No, I think innovation earlier one we had left one there also.
On the top, yes, here.
Out of the box.
Thinking. Promotes the implementation of innovative ideas of various team members. So this, I think definitely one should be the group exercise.
Yeah, GD.
GD, because a lot of discussion and points and counter arguments for that
to
come in.
Okay.
With a healthy discussion.
Okay.
And
case studies, case assessments.
And case study?
Fine.
Okay. All right, good. You guys are done. All right. So the next group, who's going? Group 1 or group 3?
I guess we missed out something.
We need to talk to Anupma. She can only call back them.
Yeah. You didn't really. I'm just checking this out. Okay. So the first two, you have them. And then there are 3, 1, 2, 3 here. Yes, you did. Then customer centricity, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and there's 4. You're done. Yeah. You haven't missed out, Rajshri.
It's done.
Yeah.
I think the one more group has come back. I think.
Who's come back?
Ursula.
Ursula.
Yeah, ma'am, we are here.
Yeah. Fantastic. All right. So you guys have to tell us quickly, each of the BI, which tool you would prefer to go with.
Okay. So for business understanding, we think we should be going with CBI and CA.
Business understanding, CBI And
CA.
Okay.
For long-term perspective, we think GD and RP. For openness to change, we were actually confused with 3. So we think CBI, GD, and CA.
Give me a second, dear.
Yeah, ma'am.
So, Ursula and Aarti, I missed you guys. There was no net connectivity, and then later when I joined, there was some weird noise and all that you guys heard. But
there was some bike, and then there was some howling sound.
I don't know. I don't have a bike.
We had a good laugh.
Openness to change. I have also done.
Okay, so Venkat, are you in agreement with them when they said business understanding, CBI and CA? Are you okay with that, or you want to just put
this is for openness to change?
No, I'm talking about business understanding.
Business understanding, CBI and CA is what I have marked.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're in sync. They've given long-term perspective.
CA and GD.
So what they have given is a role play and GD.
Okay. I feel CA and GD. How do we come to? We can see it. That's not a problem later.
Okay. Fair enough. Come back again. So openness to change.
Openness to change is GD and role play is what I have thought. So Ursula, I think CPA. I think competency based CBI.
What did we mark?
We had thought of CBI, GD, and CA.
GD and CA. Okay, GD is common. I say role play and then CBI.
CBI also we had mentioned. CBI, GD, and CA. So we were actually confused.
Okay, no problem. You can give 3. You can give 3. Minimum 2.
Okay.
And role play is also what you want, right?
Role play is what I...
So Venkat, what do you suggest? We had kept it for CBI, GD, and CA. So maybe we can
I say GD and role play.
Okay.
So then we take role play also?
Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay. Nice.
Okay. Then dealing with change and ambiguity, GD and role play.
Yes, GD and role play.
Perfect. Okay. Then innovation and out of box thinking. Again, GD and role play. What do you say?
GD and role play, and we kept CA also.
CA also. Okay. So I think Bhagwati, we may have to mark.
We mark the 3. Doesn't matter.
Okay,
GD,
fine.
CA, and role play, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Then client business understanding. This is CA and role play. How about you, Aisha?
We gave CBI and CA.
So CA is common. So
Yes.
you guys need to debate between the other 2.
Role play and CBI.
Can we keep both, ma'am?
Let's.
See, what happens is the person who's going to, when we build the tool of say, a case analysis, the case, wherever we have the Y and maximum of them, so that's when we actually look at, those, say if your team is going to build the tool of a case, right? You'll then choose and say how your case can focus on the maximum Ys that we got. Of course, even if there's one, you need to incorporate in your case scenarios that which can assess that particular BI. And it actually, it's okay. You can always give. That's okay. Give it. If it's not possible, they'll come back and say we could not incorporate this. That's okay. It doesn't matter. So you're saying we take for client business understanding, we take CA and
CBI.
Okay, so majority wins. Okay, you are Aisha and Aarti will go as you.
No, it's okay.
No, you can take that.
And the third one is role play?
Yeah, role play is what I had. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Okay.
Then
client satisfaction.
So you tell.
We had kept in basket and role play.
In basket and role play. So I'm saying CA and role play.
So role
case
play
analysis and role play. Yeah, role play is common.
Yeah.
So in basket or Why don't you take a call, Bhagwati, which is the right one?
No, it's your exercise.
Okay, fine. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Fine. So, fine. We'll go with Ayesha, not a problem. We'll go with, in basket. Okay. Though I feel it is CA. Fine.
Okay.
Problem avoidance and resolution.
Yeah.
Ayesha?
GD and CA.
Perfect. So I'm also same answer.
Okay.
And then client relationship building.
Is CBI, CA, and RP is something that we are kept.
CBI, CA, and RP.
Right.
Okay. I'm saying CA, GD, and RP.
So CA is common. And then you want a GD also to incorporate this. Okay. And role play, right?
Yeah.
And role play. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. You guys have always more. Okay. Good. So the third group has come back. Who's the third group? Group 3.
It looks like we have chosen everything, whatever is available.
Yeah, no, but then the group 3 has to come. Reema, Soumya, Venkateshwaran, and Shaurya. Are you back? Anupama, you can call them and tell them to get back. We can do it quickly.
All are out of the breakout room now.
Where are they? Okay. All right. So one of you can go ahead and tell us what you choose to. So business understanding, group 3, come on.
Group 3, Soumya, Venkat, Shaurya.
One of you, just tell us.
Venkat is not there. I can't see Venkat. Shaurya is also not there. Soumya, I think Soumya is in the meeting. She had a call with the chairman.
All right. So what? I mean, that's a big group. Do you want to just give a call on one of their mobiles and check?
Yeah, Anupama? let me check.
That they're somewhere hanging in between the groups. So
yeah,
we don't want to miss them out because.
I think, Bhagwati, you do a bit correction. The indicators for the group 1, which you mentioned in line number 11, you might have to bring it to line number 8. The indicators or these things which you mentioned in so from line number
got it
11
Sorry.
to line number 8.
Yeah.
Even 2 line up. Yeah. Here. Yeah. You have to bring this here. You lose out on Y if you paste it. So individually you have to do it.
I'll do that.
And these you can drag up. You can yeah. These 2 you can drag up. This you can
matter.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, I think it is.
All right, so we wait only for another 2 minutes because in the interest of time, it's already 1:44 Sunday afternoon. I don't think any of us want to really spend more time than this. So what we intend to do here is I'll send the sheet back to you, all of this group, okay? So each group, now we have 3 groups. The group can pick up and we have one CBI, we have a group discussion, we have a CA, we have a BI, and then we have a role play, 5 tools. Let's pick up group 1, which tool you want to build in. One tool I want you to build in, choose one. I will send a sample, I'll send you the complete format. We will do with only 3 because we have 3 groups. Choose the one that you would want to do, group 1, 2, and 3 we'll assign if they don't come back soon. You have a choice of being here, quick. So what we will do is look at, so just tell me which tool you want to build in.
What do you suggest, Venkat?
Oh my God. 1 second. Just give me a minute or two. 1 sec. Let me take, because we have got the first choice. Let us take the easier one.
Take the tough one. It's always good to hit the bull by the horn.
So you suggest that's okay. But role plays would be to build in.
I feel group discussion, yeah.
But group discussion will only involve like coming up with topics, no? For the group.
Well, I'll tell you. Okay, so in a CBI, what you will do is in the tool is you will take the BIs which have come all yes, yes, yes. And those BIs, when you're building the tool, say you're making an interview, right? An interview format, I'll send you the format. You're going to make questions around that. And then you're going to make the ideal answers also for them that you're going to look at. Okay. That's how you're going to do in the CBI. Now, in a group discussion, you're going to give the topic, the details, the background, everything, and tell them you guys have to discuss and come with a decision. This is a group decision-making process. It's not just group discussion. They have to come up with a decision, right? This is more about decision-making. So you'll be giving a complete background of what it is, what are some of the inputs that you have to give, and ask the group to discuss and come up with a decision. So the decisions that you're going to be looking at, also you need to have ideal answers for that. So you're going to tell them, you're going to decide on 1, 2, 3 things. And these 3 things, we want to hear from you, right? So it's in a live case. If you're doing a group discussion, you're going to give them the topic for discussion. It's not just one topic, because it's an assessment, you're going to give them a business scenario. You're going to give them the problem statement, ask them to discuss and come up with solutions, right? That's what you're going to, I'm going to send you a sample. You'll get to know, but it's not like typically how we do when we go for a campus interview. Tell them to a topic and ask them to discuss and see how their communication is, how their participation is. There's a lot more than that. So it's not that any of the tools will be easy, but I think you'll have, if you want to do an assessment, you'll have to learn these. These are very important because you don't get ready-made tools like this. This is the key, right? You go to any training program, they'll tell you need to be doing a GD, and then you go back assuming that it's like giving a topic and asking them to do. So the CA case, you'll give the entire details of the case, basis the BI, right? You need to create scenarios in that case. And then your questions will be to assess the behavioral indicator. I'll give you a sample of the case also. I'll give you a sample of the role play also. In basket also, I'll give you a sample. Yeah, here we're not looking for perfection. We're looking for understanding of the methodology in building these tools and what goes into it. As you practice, you'll get better. That's okay.
Yeah. So we'll go for CBI in that case.
Okay. All right. So what you would do, Venkat, I think this team can sign off because you'll be done. Look for, I'll send it to the entire group, all of the stuff. So you pick up the CBI, okay, and look at the behavioral indicators on CBI. If I look at CBI, look at all the 3 groups who have given and for which behavioral indicators, right? All the Ys you have to pick up. Now here there is this, right? In this case, you have defining SLAs, you have this, right? Can you see this? You can have embrace changes. Then you have about this, then you have about this, and assume one of this has been chosen by group 3. They come back and give, I'll incorporate and send it. So you need to, what best way is that? Just pick up all these behavioral indicators and make an interview format.
Only the interview format, only the questions, the answers.
Yeah, I'll send you the format with the ideal answers. With the ideal answers. Yeah. So I'll send it to you. You have a week's time. By next Sunday, when we have this session, you can come up. In between, if you're done, I would encourage you to send it to me so that I can have any feedback I can give you. Yeah, that'll be really helpful. All right, great. Thanks for having you on this Sunday. And I think the group 1 can sign off. I don't want to hold you with your families.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, should we expect the samples by today or tomorrow?
Yeah, EOD today, I'll send it.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we have another session in the afternoon. So I'll just finish that and then send it to all of you.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, team.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Ursula.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. So the next group can go. Bye.
Bye.
The
Thank you so
group
much.
2. Yep. Group 2, go ahead. Which the CBI is gone, so you can pick up one of them. GD, case in basket, or role play. Which one you want to design?
GD would be fine then.
Perfect. Okay. So the same thing you heard what I told the CBI, right? You will look at
CBI will come in.
Yeah.
CBI, it's a threatening term.
Yeah. So the group discussions, I think we have very less of inputs, but that doesn't matter. Pick up the BIs on which the GD is written. Yeah. And then I'll give you the sample, the same thing. Go back by the group discussion. You have to give a business scenario case, like a case, and then ask them, give them the problem statement, and they have to discuss and come with solution. So I'll send you the sample so you'll get to understand how to design it. It doesn't have to be exact that way. It can be a little very different. But the point is that you need to give them the business issues. It needs to have around these BIs, and then, they have to come up with solutions. Yeah. Okay. All right. So group 2 is going to do the GD. Great.
Yeah. Divya and Rashri. Divya, Rashri, do you have any other option to choose? I mean, I just said I don't want it to just, Are they...
I think it's fine.
Great. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, and have a great Sunday. We'll catch up again the next session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice weekend.
Thank you, thank you.
I have missed that. So can you please, right from beginning, you can explain how to do that, and because I thought that the session was over, so I have moved out from the this session.
Okay.
The last one, can you explain a little bit, the first one which you have explained to Venkatrao?
Okay, the other tool building, or one second,
this
which
one,
team were you? Yeah. So what we say is, you are in which group? Third group?
Third group.
Yeah.
Okay.
Myself, Dr.
Soria?
Yes.
And Soumya.
Soumya, and the fourth one is, I think.
Only 3 were there. Soumya, Venkat, and
yes,
Soria.
correct. That's true.
Actually, they had a technical issue, so probably they could not connect with each other.
No problem. So Venkat, we can do one.
Can you please explain so that we can understand?
So what you can do? Yeah, we can do it right now, even if Shaurya is there, because Soumya will
nobody
be.
is there. Shaurya is attending.
Shaurya has moved out for the next session. So
okay.
Soumya.
Okay. So Venkat, let's what we have to do here. So looking at each of the BI, you need to map, like say yours is a third group. We'll do it right away here. You can see the screen, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm here, ma'am. Very sorry. I disconnected. Very sorry.
Oh, no problem.
So bad connectivity. Yeah.
No problem at all. We'll quickly.
Rima is also my teammate.
Yes. Actually, very sorry. Very
That's
poor
okay, Rima.
connectivity is there. Very sorry.
No problem. Let's quickly do this. So what we're trying to do here is map the tools to the BI. Which tool?
Which one we have to take? Which one you
did you map? No, you didn't map the tools, right? First, let's map the tool. So so what you could do is you and Rima can discuss and tell me under the first one, business understanding. This is your group 3, right? I'll mark yes if you tell me you can assess it. Best assess.
We have assessed this one.
BI. You did this?
Yes.
Okay, so just tell me. I'll mark it here. So the first one. Which tool are you going to use for the first one? Is most appropriate according to you?
We have taken CBI, and second one is that group discussion.
Okay. All right. Then the next one?
The next one we have taken CBI and 1 minute. Role play we have taken.
Okay, perfect. So Rima was also part of the discussions, right?
No, ma'am.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
in between.
No, okay,
Yeah,
no
yeah,
problem.
yeah.
So you're okay with whatever he's saying?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So go ahead, Venkat.
Nobody is preferring CBI. Why so?
No, there are.
Okay, right.
So what you look at is that which is the one tool that will, the two tools which can most appropriately, you will be able to assess these behaviors. Minimum
Correct.
2, you can have 3 also. Doesn't matter.
Right. That's correct.
Yeah.
Third one.
Openness to change.
Open to change.
Yep.
I forgot actually. It was done from Dr. Sarya's actually that he from his actual laptop.
Okay.
Immediate embrace the change and place. Yeah, we can take the CBI.
Mm-hmm. And
1 minute, please.
No problem.
And RP, we want to take RP. Rima is there? Rima? Are you okay with this?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
You say, actually, Rima, we have discussed on Tuesday evening, 5 o'clock, we will once again, discuss.
Sure. Yeah, I'll be okay.
So you just study these things. I will also go through that. And Tuesday evening, 5 o'clock, we'll meet again.
Yeah. Actually, I missed it. That's why, I'm very sorry.
Let's finish this exercise. Yeah. So Rima, let's finish this quickly, and then I will tell you. The first group has picked up you need to design the tool. So other than a CBI and GD, that means either a case analysis, in basket, or role play. You can design. I will give this. I will send sample formats. You're going to design for the BIs in which, say, role play, wherever, say if you take role play, you're going to design role play for all those where the BI is written.
Okay.
Where there is a yes. Okay. So let's just finish this exercise, then I'll explain again.
Okay.
So now you'll have to tell me for dealing with change and ambiguity.
1 minute, please. Yeah, Soumya is also my teammate. Both are here only.
Yeah.
So, Rima, can you suggest anything on dealing with change and ambiguity?
Let's take CBI.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And
we can have for role play as well.
Role play or case analysis. This is about dealing with change and ambiguity.
Yeah. So case analysis, yes.
We'll take case analysis. We'll take case analysis.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Then innovation and out-of-box thinking.
Innovation always, we can do it group discussion only.
Okay.
Yes. We can also have CBI for that.
In an interview?
Yes.
Okay.
You are fine, Mr. Venkat, for this?
You can give another one also.
I would see the preference would be RP. I would given the preference of RP.
Okay.
Innovation and out of box thinking.
Okay. I'm taking the role play as well. Then customer centricity. Client business understanding.
Yes.
In basket, did you understand what an in basket is?
Yes. In basket means a lot of things are there. So somebody has to come and pick that. Like the onboarding, somebody is there. So what to do on that particular role play? You're talking about role play, no? In basket. Okay, in basket, he has to choose from in basket which are the things like now
In
specific
basket
topic
is
like today?
basically the tool where the person will be put in that role and will be
Correct.
asked to respond to emails, do this,
Correct,
do that.
correct.
Yeah.
Somebody is not cooperating. So how to issue the charge sheet like that?
No. So say you are the plant manager and you are on an emergency leave. I am asked to play your role for that day.
Okay. Got your point.
So I will, and you have an assistant, and that assistant will assist me. So they'll give all the details, all the emails that you get, all the instructions that you get, all the reviews that you do. I have.
Okay, right. So in this case, I will take CBI.
Okay. And
what is the CMM? I forgot just
case analysis, case study.
1 minute. Case analysis. Yes, I can take case analysis.
Okay. The next one, client satisfaction.
Rima?
Yeah, fine with it. Yes.
Right.
CBI and case analysis. Yeah.
Client analysis. We can
client satisfaction.
We can take it actually. I will take a CA. 1 minute.
Yeah.
Sami, do you suggest anything? RP, shall we take it? Sami,
I think Soumya is in a meeting.
Okay, right. Rima, can we take RP?
Yes, RP. Yeah, RP, and we can also take CB also.
GD, group discussion. You're talking about group discussion?
No, CBI.
Okay, CBI.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So for problem avoidance,
we will actually take it either to two. You have suggested to take it from each category to options.
Yeah, no? At times you can, if you strongly feel that a third one is also important, you can give a third one also.
Okay.
Minimum two.
Okay. So we can
problem avoidance, section or resolution. We'll take CBI.
Variety of options. Okay.
We can have a role play for this.
We will take it role play.
Yeah.
Okay. And the last one?
The last one.
And relationship building.
We'll take IB.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. And
GD, shall we take Rima, GD? Yeah, you have come back.
Yeah. We can take that. Yeah.
Sarya, come back. Can you hear me?
He's actually supposed to be in another session, I think.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but he has come back actually. So you can see, ma'am, can we quickly see this?
Can
you please quickly?
So I'm just giving CBI. You said this is 3. You said yes to both the BIs under thinking and acting strategically, and then all the 3 in innovation, in championing change. In fact, all of them except for client building relationships, you said need to incorporate in the interview.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Then the group discussions you choose for business understanding, innovation, and client relationship, 3.
Right.
And then case analysis you felt was more appropriate for dealing with change and ambiguity. You want to give a case, client business understanding, and client satisfaction. So under client for 2, and then strategic, on dealing with change.
Right.
And then, in basket, I think only one place where you felt an in basket is only in client relationship building. Is there any other place you think we can incorporate an in basket? Okay, so let me
Dr.
just go.
Shaurya, we have it. Can you refer your Excel sheet? In basket.
Should I?
Do we have actually anywhere mentioned in basket other than the last one?
No, we haven't mentioned, sir. I'll just share the sheet.
Yeah, no problem. No problem, sir. That's okay. That's okay. The role play is one.
Can you please explain
Consider
so
role
that
play,
we can
case study, and CBI.
Sorry?
We considered CBI, competency interview, and case and case study is 3 method tools for the different customer centric and business strategic thinking competency.
So for role play, you felt that it could be used for long-term perspective and change.
And possible alternative solutions to business problems.
Yeah. Possible alternative solutions. Where is that? Possible. Which one are you talking about? Give me the theme, please.
Strategic thinking, ma'am.
Okay. So business understanding or long-term perspective? Long-term perspective, you gave me the role play. Yeah, so done. Yeah. Good. So what you're going to do as a team is which tool other than CBI and group discussion, the other 2 groups have taken. You might choose between a case analysis, in basket, and role play. One tool you can design. I will send a sample from among these. Now, how we will go about it? Sample is to give you an idea of how to structure that. So first choose which tool you want to build in. Venkat, Shaurya, and Reema, just tell me which tool you want to build in.
Role play, we can have it.
Okay. So what you will do?
Yes.
Perfect. So what you will do is you will look at So role play, you will look at these 3. Right, like this.
Okay.
And see, let's say, for example, openness to change. All 3 groups said a role play can give us a perfect assessment opportunity. Then there is, wherever there is, all the 3 have marked. Okay. Those become the core focus to be incorporated into your role play. Then look at 2 at
Okay.
Look at the others. The others become either there's 1 in 1 BI or 2. So the strength of your role play should be more focusing on assessment of the BIs where all 3 of you have agreed. There is yes.
Okay.
Can you explain? I am unable to get you.
Okay. So when you're designing the role play, when you're writing the role play, you'll give a context of the role play, right? You'll give the content of role play. So the role play, when you're designing, when you're giving those inputs of role play, it should take into account these behavior, embraces change, openness to change, this description, whatever. How are you going to? So what we felt is a role play can, when a person is playing that role, when you do that role play, you can easily watch them and assess their openness to change. So you have to incorporate in such a way that you're able to assess change. Okay, I'll give you a sample of the role play, you'll be able to. So similarly, so more strongly, it has to be focusing on wherever you have all the 3 Ys. Right? Okay. Group 1, group 2, and group 3, all 3 felt that openness to change can be assessed effectively by a role play. Innovation out of the box thinking also can be assessed by a role play. Right? Now, that's the 3. So 2 strong areas the role play tool you need to incorporate. Then the others you take into consideration, and the ones you think you have given, incorporate that as well. Even if it doesn't come out strongly, it becomes a secondary assessment input. All right. So I will send
Right. Today you'll send it.
I'll send
Today
it
you will
end of
send
the
it?
day. Yeah, I'll send it by around 7 o'clock or so, before 7 o'clock. Yeah. So you have the week to catch up and do this.
Fine,
Okay.
fine.
All right. Thank you so much and have a lovely
Thank you,
Sunday. Thanks for giving your precious time for this session today. Really happy to have you. We'll see you next week.
Thank you. Thank you.